I want to fast forward to, I guess, TV poker effectively,
I
and,
love
and
TV
that
poker.
Unabomber persona, which I think you probably crafted to some extent. It's obvious that you have an eccentric personality, a lively personality, but that was really infectious for people watching poker on TV.
Yep.
I'm really keen to know how much of it was a sort of a pure manifestation of who you are, and how much
It's
of it was you
100%,
recognizing that this was quite a good spot to get famous.
It was like a evolution in progress. It was 100% authentic, real, who I am. When I was making the choice in college to pick my major, I still had I don't know if it was my parents' whisperings in my head or I'm actually a practical realist, but I remember thinking, wow, the philosophical conundrum of how to spend one's time always has plagued me. Like I remember picking my major, I was like, well, I could study what I really want to study, but then I don't know how efficient that's going to be for the end game when I'm trying to get a job. Because I remember right out of the gate, I thought, oh, I could be an actor, that'd be fun, but there's like maybe only 1 in 10,000 people make it, and you'd just be suffering and broke the whole time. I was like, ooh, I could be a philosopher, that'd be great. I loved the idea of just studying philosophy in college, or physics. This was another one that was very intriguing, but I found the end game deal. Oh, physics, you got to get your PhD, and then you can do it. Nah, art, yeah, you can just be a hippie and broke forever. Like all these different things of philosophy. I was like, well, okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna enjoy the hell out of college. I'm gonna get a practical degree, but I'm not gonna focus on it. I'm just gonna get the degree, but I'm gonna focus on life while I'm in college. So I got the engineering degree, which I thought was great, because a lot of that stuff was, hey, there's 3 tests, perform, or there's 4 quizzes and 3 tests, perform. And I love that structure. Because I would get tilted if I got I remember almost giving up on the English lit stuff. I once presented what I thought was an A, and I got a B-, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm giving my minimum from now on. This is too much of a subjective process. I need those professors that say, just show up, fill in the damn circles, and put the numbers down, and we'll measure in, no matter how little or depending, it didn't matter how well you were prepared. You only got judged by not how many times you showed up in class, if you were late, or those crunch moments. And I love that, because the night before, I realized, wow, I have an amazing ability to learn 2 months of stuff in 8 hours. I can do that. I don't know where this comes from, but when you have to do it, it's like the human endurance thing. Everyone can run 100 miles. They don't know it, but everyone's sick. And I would just and I remember I didn't like coffee at the time, but I would take coffee and then I would wrap it in bread, and I'd make a little pill and try and take coffee pills before this is because I got to stay awake to do this, but I was getting tired, And I did great. I would there was some times where you couldn't get 2 months of kinematic design into your head in 8 hours, and you would do poorly, whatever, but there was always, so I juggled my way through college. I got my degree in engineering, and I thought, this is great. Now I'll just go print money and be happy. But I found out it's not like that. You don't just, that's not how it goes. You have to be happy to print the money. You don't just, because you get the job that gives you money. That's not correlated at all. I learned that after a week. I didn't like, my boss was like, oh wow, the engineering card is tough, because the whole structure. And I remember very early on thinking, I got to get into a place where when I'm being asked to, as an engineer, this is a super segue, but I remember there was a time where I realized, wow, I should really come in on Saturdays, probably for 2 or 3 months in a row, to get this stuff squared away. And I started doing it because I was a good, you put me on the team, I'm in there, I understand what needs to be done. I just knew Monday would be hell if I didn't come in on Saturdays. So I was doing 4 hours on Saturdays, for a couple of months. And that felt like the minimum I needed to do my job well. And I remember those were great. That was a great 2 months period of time, because I remember on Saturday waking up thinking, this is wrong. This is wrong. I need to figure out a way to plug myself in, so when I am doing the work, I get all the reward. I don't care if it's 1/10 the reward or what. I just need it to be directly correlated to my output. Now I want to get back to that original, because it was thought that
Well,
I had.
I suppose what you've said there is that it was 100% authentic, and there's actually there's a little bit of a debate that Darren and I had over breakfast a couple of mornings ago, because he felt, I guess I felt as though there had to be some amount of pretension or some amount of awareness of what you were doing and how well it was working.
Okay,
and
I'll
he
tell
disagreed.
you. Yeah. I'll tell you, it's a blend, because the reason why I was answering this question, and I started with the college thing, was I honestly, if my parents were very, very wealthy, which they weren't, I had to kind of, pay my own way through college and all that stuff. But I remember being very jealous of the kids that had super wealthy parents, because it was like, wow, you can go instant truth right now. At 18, you can pursue your bliss right now. It took me a while to discover games were my bliss, but I thought, I did theater, I did plays, I loved that stuff, and I thought when I was in high school, I thought the ultimate job of any human on earth was David Letterman. I thought that was the pan-ultimate spot on earth. You are just creating this entertainment, and you're meeting all these intense actors, whatever. And I actually toyed I had a short burst where I was trying to be a comedian, and another small reveal. I remember when I first moved to Vegas, it wasn't poker, I was trying to be a comedian. I thought that I wanted to be an entertainer, but I was frustrated by the lack of finance, stability, and I wasn't good, so it wasn't like money was coming in for it anyways. And in the poker, it was a little tough at the beginning, because in backgammon, if you have a good position, you can enjoy it and sit like a king. And if you're in a miserable position, you can do the pattern of oh, I never win, this is the gods don't love. You get to just enjoy you can match your emotion for whatever the game is speaking to you. And that was part of the pattern. I enjoyed the old cronies that would have pattern mastered, the New York guys. I was ooh, learning. And when I discovered poker, I realized really quick on, if you flop the nuts, you're not supposed to be sit like a king now. You're just, so the hood kind of evolved as a kind of stay in my cave thing. And also these were New York, in the New York backgammon clubs, you might have a bare bulb, or you could have a cross draft or whatever. It was nice. It was functional, actually, to have a built-in brow. And a little bit of me liked the, within a very short time, within 2 or 3 months of winning at poker, I started to feel more comfortable weaving in the social aspects of wow, it's people really, they don't want to play hands with you if they feel you're difficult to beat, or they also are happy not playing hands with you if they, like you, if they're socially kind of on your program. So you could sing the chips out of them or sing their calls in by I'm a little bit of a speech player, not super hardcore, and certainly way less in 2017, because people are very astute, whatever. But back in the cash game days, almost 80% of the players chatted this during hands, all that stuff. And so I found it really natural, because I felt wow, this is almost it felt like I was getting paid for real-time theater. Whereas in an acting thing, if you're in a play, you memorize your lines, etc. But this is the infinite canvas, where I am in a real life movement play, and I want all the casting, I want it to be a fun little thing. So a little bit of me kind of used the gambling card to flourish the actor kind of showman, I guess it would be called. I'm part showman. My mom found some videotapes. I'm what? I was 14, we moved from one house to another house, and I did a video, and I'm videotaping everyone, and I was doing my comedy. I didn't even know I had a comedy act at 14, but I was little stupid stuff. I was wow, that was really not funny. And meanwhile, my sister was laughing her ass off. Just why did you make this video? I was trying out my little, I had really bad one-liners that I thought were just so good. One was, if you're ever in a kitchen and somebody had, those really weird gourds and fruit things that look like pumpkins gone wrong, so you can just, as a one-liner, you just put the gourd up to your neck and say, what do you think? Should I get this removed? As if it's a wart or something. And I had all these things, and I was interspersing them into the video. But yeah, I knew that you don't make, if you're entertaining people at a party, or you're having a goofy time and you're the last, there's no way to monetize that you're social. But then in poker, I realized, oh, there is a little bit of that. There's so I I enjoyed the fusion of it, and it was actually quite organic. And there are times where I go above and beyond, like, wow, World Series of Poker, there's 8,000 runners today, and I haven't, I didn't win the one drop, so what can I do? I got to get some attention, because there's the back of my mind, I do love attention. I'm sitting here, I like sharing the whole thing. It's like the two-way thing. So on this last World Series, I thought, you know what? I got to do it. I got to do it, the goggles. I just got to start with the goggles, because I always in my mind think, yeah, when I get to the final table, this was the problem that I had in my first final table I ever did in televised stuff. I had all this stuff figured out, these things that I was going to come to life and be a goofball and have 2 T-shirts and all these. But I said, I got to be in the top 3 before that happens. I don't want to, when there's like 5 people and I'm doing a goofy thing and then I bust out, oh, who was the goofy that couldn't even perform? He just drizzled out with queen 2 offsuit or like whatever. So in my mind, and then of course I died 5th. It was almost like I had scripted in my head. And I said, you know what? The next time the cameras are on, I'm gonna just turn on the show button, the showman button, and like you can only be a showman if there's a feedback loop. You can't. That's what the amazing thing about comedians are. The ones that don't die are the ones that have this kind of a connection between the audience, and there's a feeling of communication even though only one person is speaking. And so you need to have that kind of movement back and forth in the consciousness. And I said and I got really lucky, because I said the next time that I'm on a TV table, I'm just gonna be the goofy guy that I want to be and stir it up a little bit. And it was really lucky timing, because Antonio was at the table, so I said, good, I can it was the 100K tournament that I won at the WPT Celebrity Invitational, just a goofy small thing. But I remember I came in with the least number of chips. There were 6 of us, and I said, great, I'm going to be goofy starting out of the gate. And then I started getting chips, and I ended up winning it. But I was expecting I was going to be out, and I wasn't going to. So ever since then, I felt really pretty comfortable about, and I am, without the cameras on, I'm pretty much, with the exception of some people will sit next to me like, Phil, you've been very quiet for 4 hours. The thing about a showman, even if you're like a high-level showman like David Letterman, they don't have an on button that's just on all the time. It's kind of has to be a two-way street where a communication thing is happening, then it pops in and whatever. And all humans, no matter how much of a, socially outgoing person you are, everyone needs to breathe. Quiet time, whatever.
Famously with Letterman, he used to say that it was going out on stage was where he was comfortable in himself, and it was like going off stage. That's the difficult part. Life is the difficult part when you leave. It's out here that he shined, and it's where.
Jennifer has a great button. Jennifer, when she's doing a little promotion for a movie or whatever, she glows, and she keeps that glow power on for the whole thing with the outfit, the pictures and stuff. We come home and we talked about it, if you're in a socially impacted high, when she's doing an interview with Jimmy Kimmel or something like this, it does take a special extra use of your energy, and you feel extra depleted. So she'll do a 2 or 3 day thing and feel like, oh, I don't know why I feel like taking a nap. And I'm like, baby, you just were hanging out, interfacing with the world, interviews, all that stuff. It's not all just there's a cost. Yeah, you can be fun and goofy. It's even if you just are telling stories, regaling the history at a dinner party. You still need breaks. It doesn't. Otherwise, you're also that guy. Does he ever stop? And I was the youngest of 6 kids, and I learned, and I don't know if I'm good at it or an expert, but I'm above average, when to stop. Remember the guy? This is a very, very of nothing thing, but it was between 4 and 12 years ago at Partouche. They caught this guy cheating. I want to say Ali Taganamakanek or something.
Spot on, yeah.
Something like that. And I was now this man was very dark, okay? And he was angry. And I was at his table. And I didn't know at the time. It came out later. But I am of the opinion that if even one person at the table finds even, I was basically, he didn't want anyone to enjoy anything at this poker table. And of course, I was in my very low level, non-showman, hey, nice hand, whatever, just being civil. And I saw that angered him. And maybe it was because I was covering my cards really well and the guy couldn't spot it or whatever. I have no idea, but I remember when he made it very clear that like that burst of joviality was not welcomed and it was not appropriate or whatever, I actually adjusted way to the right. I was like, I became a mute because I don't want to ever, and when we got to different tables, I went back, but like, I'm the guy that's almost too sensitive. If I feel like, oh, whatever, I'm never going to have a floor call to me for being unruly behavior or whatever, because like I'll play around, but the second and I'm very giving too. If I see that I'm in a spot and something uncomfortable is happening, I'll try and intercede to try and I'm saying I'm a neutral, not involved, and two people are having a thing. With 20 years of gambling experience, I will rise to the moment and be the table captain and try and defend against having a floor and just get a agreed upon thing to move the game along. Is that okay? I know what the real ruling is going to be this, but this, obviously, are you okay? And I'll just kind of band-aid little spots here and there. But I'm the first guy to pull back when, and then I was so glad when they caught that guy, Ollie Tegnek, whatever. I was like, wow. It was like such a full closure. I was like, he was the darkest person I met in France.